Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda, and please welcome to our Operation Freedom platform, WeThePeopleProcessing.com. You know, are you tired of being threatened to be canceled just because you have a company focused on liberty and freedom? Well, worry no more, folks. WeThePeopleProcessing.com is your go-to merchant services, freedom-based company to provide business service payment solutions. We the People Processing provides their clients a cancel culture-free platform which is domestically based. They provide competitive rates, no contracts with next-day funding, a fully vetted and like-minded financial infrastructure, and full support for integrations, implementation, and e-commerce efforts. Bottom line, WeThePeopleProcessing.com focuses on defending your company's free market growth, values, and future. Check them out at www.WeThePeopleProcessing.com. Once you're on the site, enter in password Operation Freedom or call 855-499-2024. That's WeThePeopleProcessing.com. Then, when on the website, enter Operation Freedom as your password or call 855-499-2024. For those of you not familiar with Bill, after a lengthy career in financial services, Bill retired in 2006 and moved his family out of the United States. It was good timing. He then returned in 2011 and currently makes his home in the great state of Texas. He joined Miles Franklin as an associate writer in 2012 and posted commentaries until early 2015. Bill is a precious metals broker and continues to be with Miles Franklin, where you can reach him. He is now working in collaboration with the great Jim Sinclair and helping to educate and enlighten folks through Jim's site, JS Mindset, MINESET, jsmindset.com. Bill is one of the best forensic economic analysts in the world. And that's what really bothers the deep state. Because he provides you the information and the analysis that puts you far, far ahead of the curve. It's my honor and pleasure to welcome back my friend, Bill Holter. Bill, welcome back to the Operation Freedom platform.
Thank you, Dave.
So, Bill, I was having a conversation the other day with someone who said, you know, Dave, you bring guests on and you speak about this great reset. And I think that's just conspiracy theory. Okay, Bill. Is what Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum has spoken of in great detail, the Great Reset, and how it was going to be utilized to reset the entire system with possibly even a cyber pandemic that is actually, as his own words, worse than the COVID-19 pandemic. So, Bill, is this Great Reset that Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum spoke about, is that conspiracy theory, or are we actually seeing it in real time play out?
Well, how can it be conspiracy theory if you see every mainstream media talk about reset? I mean, one after another, you will hear the word reset. And if you look at what's being done officially, the official policies are being put into place to destroy the global economy. I mean, nobody could be so, and I said this years and years ago, and now it's pretty obvious, nobody could be so stupid as to put these policies in place. It has to be a plan. And when I'm saying it has to be a plan, in order to have a great reset, what do you have to do first? You have to destroy what exists and then do what? Build back better. It's their own words.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And you know, and the build back better, well, who would see it as better? The elites, the New World Order crowd will the 99.9% of the population of the world, let alone our country, see it as building back better? Well, you know what? Next, maybe scratch that. One entity that sees building back better as a great plan is the Taliban. That building back better that Biden instituted along with Harris and Milley, he built back better, the Taliban. I mean, they're going to see it as a positive thing. Other than the Taliban and the elites, I'm at a loss to figure out who really benefits from Build Back Better.
If you look at this from a broad perspective, the only ones that benefit are the ones in control, and that's what this is all about. It's ultimately about control of the 99% plus, control of their lives, control of what they do, control of what they consume, control of travel, etc. And I mean, it's obvious. Look at the COVID passports. They want to be able to control everything that people do, consume, etc.
And it's not like we weren't warned. I want to play this.
You're always warned, Dave.
What's that?
Just understand, you're always warned.
Yeah.
You're always warned by the elite because they believe it is not proper etiquette if you don't warn your victims ahead of time. If you warn them ahead of time, it's their own fault for not listening.
It's true. That's how they see it. And you know what? President Kennedy in 1962, in front of the Newspaper Publishers of America at the Waldorf Astoria in New York, I want to play a brief clip because he told us what they were up to and what the plan was. Derek, hit it.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
That's exactly what's happening today, isn't it, Bill?
100%. 60 years ago, or 61 years ago, he said that.
Yeah. And here we are.
Or 59 years ago, yeah. I mean, well, I wrote an article this past week. It's titled The Final Chapter Has Arrived. And one of the things I said in there was, if Facebook, Twitter, Google, YouTube, if they take you down, if they take your channel down, you're over the target. You know 100% for sure you're correct.
Very true. I got taken down from Twitter because I called COVID the freedom-stripping virus.
And
got
that's
a couple
exactly what
videos
it is.
taken down off of YouTube, was suspended from YouTube for a period of time for precisely that same reason. They don't want the truth to be heard. So let's talk about a little more truth. The globalist syndicate, the criminal national banking syndicate, the New World Order crowd, the deep state, whatever you want to call them, they're having some PR problems the past week, Bill, and I want your take on this. We see members of the Federal Reserve Board falling like flies. This from Zero Hedge. Fed Vice Chair Clarita traded millions one day before Powell emergency pandemic statement earlier this week, with Fed hawks suddenly dropping like flies following the resignations of Boston and Dallas's Fed presidents Rosengren and Kaplan amid a public outcry over their recently revealed day trading activities, which benefited them as a direct result of monetary policy decisions they were explicitly and directly involved in. Well, now we have Fed Vice Chair Richard Clarida may be the next to, quote, retire, end quote, following the revelation that he was trading in and out of millions in securities on February 27, 2020, just one day before Fed Chair Powell issued an extremely bullish emergency statement hinting at possible policy action as the pandemic worsened. I think they're probably all stunned that they would actually have to follow the rule of law.
They're stunned that they got caught. And really, it's the ultimate in front running, because if you control policy, then you know how markets will react after you implement the policy or announce the policy. And I posted the first two, Rosengren and the other guy. I posted those on Monday with the comment, and the punchline is gold and silver are getting slaughtered because the dollar is so much stronger based on truth coming out of the Federal Reserve. If you look at this, the American public should be up in arms, screaming and yelling. And in the article, I pointed out, nobody's screaming and yelling because the markets are still pretty close to all-time highs. If we had markets that traded back to, say, the exact pricing that they were on the day that Trump won the election in 2016, you'd probably see anarchy in this country, because you'd have an 18,000 Dow, you'd have housing prices, 30-40% lower, and if you had interest rates just even come close to normalized, say 3% or 4%, people would be going nuts, because nobody cares, because it doesn't affect them. They get their 401k statement and, everything's good, so I don't have anything to worry about. But then you've got to understand, all markets are rigged. All markets are rigged by the super increased money supply, the super increase in debt, and then they use financial derivatives, which are levered in many cases 100 to 1, to rig the markets. And my question was, when they decide to unrig the markets, pull the plug basically, there's your reset. That will be the waterfall event into the actual reset itself.
And what they're trying to do, Bill, is divert attention from this imploding economy and what's happening with these shysters and their day trading and insider trading. Oh, and hey, by the way, Bill, and many people find this shocking, but it is legal for members of Congress to front run trades with insider information. Is that wrong?
No, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah. So people go,
and they do it all the time.
How can these cats make $100,000 a year and end up when they retire after 10 years with $50 million? I mean, Pelosi's the queen of this, and her husband.
Yes.
Am I wrong?
Yes. No, absolutely correct. And you could get any and all prosecutors in the country to try to arrest and indict a member of Congress, and you can't do it because the law is on the books that they can trade on any and all information that they have,
including legislation that they know is going to potentially go through or that they're writing.
Correct.
Which is why, as you said, Bill, these three Federal Reserve presidents of their respective Federal Reserve banks, they're stunned that they're being held accountable because they go to the same cocktail parties with Schumer and Pelosi and McConnell and Romney. And, well, they're all doing it, right? And they're all talking about how many millions they made off of their insider trades. And these guys are like, well, wait a minute. Hey, I'm a Federal Reserve Chairman of Boston, of Chicago. Wait a minute. Why can't I do, right? I mean, Bill, they're stunned.
Because it's illegal. It is. They do not have the same cover that Let me put it this way. Members of Congress, it's not illegal. It's absolutely immoral. It should be illegal. But members of the Federal Reserve do not have the same cover as members of Congress. Now, the worst part about this is, okay, so these guys resign and they're going to get to walk away with their millions. These guys should resign and they should be indicted.
They should go to jail. They should go to jail, Bill. And hey, and here's the other thing, Bill. Here's the other thing. These guys just didn't make the trades, right? They had to have somebody, some big entity, place the trades for them. This came out. Goldman Sachs refuses to say if it was placing trades for Dallas Fed President Kaplan as a materially false statement released by board on Kaplan's relationship with Goldman Sachs. I mean, it's not just they should, it's these trading houses should also be on the hook.
Well, and he was trading S&P futures. So, he wasn't just trading individual stocks or bonds or whatever. He was trading futures. And the question, which still is not answered, were you short when COVID hit? Did you short S&P futures?
Yeah.
Did you short America?
But Bill, didn't we see the same thing on September 11, 2001? Weren't there a number? This is conspiracy theory, Dave. No. There were big time players that shorted airline stocks, that shorted futures the days before September 11, 2001. Am I wrong on that?
No, that's absolutely correct. And there were billions of profits that were abandoned. When I say abandoned, the owners of the accounts did not take some of that money because, they did not want the paper trail going back to them. So obviously somebody knew it was happening ahead of time.
So let's talk about another, implosion that's occurring. Many people believe it's not going to affect them. But you've outlined to people that for decades, that all these large institutions, it's one big daisy chain and they're all connected to each other. Evergrande, as somebody said, well, that's in China. That's not going to affect me. I live in Montana. That's not going to affect. Evergrande's default could well spread, Bill, to the rest of the entire world on this $300 billion in credit, which is worthless. Educate our listeners on Evergrande, the real estate developer in China, and how it truly could affect every banking institution in the world.
Well, yeah, they've got $300 billion in debt. It looks like they have at least 150 to 200 billion in off-books debt. And understand that these companies trade amongst themselves, and they use derivatives. And so you can use $1 in the trade, but it may represent $100. And Evergrande just what we know is roughly 5 times larger than what Lehman Brothers was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, everyone that they do business with, and then everyone that does business with, it goes right down the chain. It's their counterparties, and then counterparties to their counterparties, and more counterparties, etc. And it is all over the world. This will not blow up and all of a sudden, China have problems and the world just keep humming along. This very well could turn into a banking crisis that topples the entire system. And the reason being, everyone is levered. Everyone owes everyone else. And like what happened in 2008, then you have the fear factor of Bank A won't do business with Bank B because they're afraid they won't get paid, and Bank B won't do business with Bank C, and Bank C won't do business with Bank A because they're all afraid that their counterparty is going to go bankrupt overnight. and they'll be left holding the bag the next day.
And when this has occurred in the past, Bill, gold, silver, precious metals, hard assets do quite well. They are the true insurance policy. Is that where we are again today? You are a precious metals specialist. Educate our listeners in our last 5 minutes here where you think the precious metals markets are going to go.
Well, while these things were happening, because all markets have been rigged and they're rigged with paper derivatives. I mean, this past Monday, 10% of global silver production was sold in 30 minutes. So nobody has 10%. It was just paper. It was a paper transaction. What happens is, or what has happened in the past, is gold and silver do extremely well after the event because people figure out the only thing the governments can do is print more money. And that's obviously bullish for gold and silver because it debases the paper currencies. This time around, I won't be surprised to see gold and silver going much, much higher during the event. In the past, it was said, oh, well, people are selling gold or selling silver for liquidity. That was the cover. I think this time around, there's going to be real fear that the entire system's coming down, and the only thing that's going to be left standing are gold and silver because they have no liability. They are pure money, and they are no central bank's liability.
And when you look behind the curtain, Bill, where how the big banks are positioning themselves, and tell me if I'm wrong on this assessment, but the big banks are positioning themselves for escalating prices in both gold and silver down the line.
Yeah, well, they're looking for escalating prices in everything. I mean, just look at their positions in just general commodities. So yeah, they understand that the inflation genie is out of the bag, and the inflation genie will cause interest rates to rise on a global debt system that has never been even close to this leveraged. It will take the leverage and destroy it.
So, Bill, educate our listeners on how they can get in touch with you and how they can follow all your efforts and your partner Jim Sinclair's great efforts.
Well, you can go to www.jsmineset.com, or if you want to email me directly, you can email me at B as in boy, Holter at hotmail.com.